Hi. We will continue with Isaiah. We're going to do section from chapter 24 and chapter 25. The full moon has become abashed, for Jehovah of armies has become king in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and in front of his elder men with glory. And Jehovah of armies will certainly make for all the peoples in this mountain a banquet of well-oiled dishes, a banquet of wine kept on the dregs, filtered. And in this mountain he will certainly swallow up the face of the envelopment that is enveloping over all the peoples, and the woven work that is interwoven upon all the nations. He will actually swallow up death forever. And the sovereign Lord Jehovah will certainly wipe the tears from all faces. And the reproach of his people he will take away from all the earth, for Jehovah himself has spoken it.
Well, the part that's familiar here to us, of course,
it's the well-oiled dishes.
The well-oiled dishes. The wine kept on the dregs.
Yeah, that sounds good.
This has inhabited many color photographs, or at least depictions, in the magazines over the years, and the books. And it's one of the most treasured pictures of the new order as we would see it, right? But in the context, not just in 25, but in 24, you realize part of a scenario again, a scenario that involves Israel. For instance, back in chapter 24, that last verse, the moon will be abashed and the sun ashamed, for Jehovah of hosts, Yahweh of hosts, will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and his glory will be before his elders. That's unusual phraseology. But again, the paradise conditions in the New World relate somehow to a geographical location.
Jerusalem.
God's capital city, as it were, in Isaiah 24. We might as well also add that 24 wasn't much in my consciousness when I was a witness. But it is, along with chapter 66, the two great Armageddon scenarios in the book of Isaiah.
Yeah, you were saying that they should really read all of chapter 24. Because then you'll get a more clear picture of Armageddon and it's being localized.
Yes, God appears locally in chapter 24, but the Armageddon scenario is wider. It talks about the covenant with all creation. So you can see here Isaiah is pulling back, as it were, from the local picture, but then zooming back in again. So by the time you get to the familiar part, you've got phrases that were awkward even for us when we were witnesses. In the context, for instance, in verse 6, Jehovah of armies will prepare a lavish banquet for all peoples on this mountain. And then verse 7, on this mountain he will swallow up the covering which is covering or enveloping all peoples.
Even the part about the reproach of his people will be, he will take away from all the earth. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are not going to want to apply that to themselves.
No.
As you know, when do they think they were a reproach? But it's part of the scenario of God's faithfulness, and God's grace is demonstrated by the fact that he forgives his people their reproach.
Now we should note that this is the first clear reference to the abolishing of death itself in the Bible. There are other clear references, one in the next couple of chapters in Isaiah, and then Daniel chapter 12. There aren't that many references to God's program to defeat death completely and forever. This is the first one, and yet it's again localized. On this mountain he will swallow up the covering. What was it called in the New World Translation? The envelopment.
Yeah.
All of these fancy words that don't mean much to us, but it's like it's saying it's a veil. Well, the veil of death covering up all peoples, but it will be defeated on this mountain. So we made the point when we were in the Psalms, Psalm 133, where it talks about eternal life being somehow tied up with the destiny of Jerusalem as well.
So they should probably read 24 and 25. All of 25, you said.
Yeah. And you'll notice there's lots of local references in these chapters, and as you read through chapters 25 through, well, right through the 30s, up to about 36, we'll get to in the next segment. It's one local reference after another, and lots of references to the pagan nations around. As you get deeper and deeper into the book of Isaiah, it gets worse and worse for the Watchtower.
So next we will be doing Isaiah 33, 34, and 35. Those portions from all three of those chapters.